All right, so I'm going to be doing a key price action analysis on DWAC stock, ticker symbol DWAC. This is going to give you a unique perspective on the key levels for DWAC stock. So once this stock hits those key levels, I'm going to show you how to react and where the price is heading if it turns it into a support level or if it turns it into resistance level. This is going to show you on when to be long biased and when to be short biased for the short-term price action of DWAC stock. It's really going to give you a better understanding on how to react once you see a certain key level react as a support or resistance level. And I'm going to be explaining to you on why I'm planning to actually buy this stock and why I'm waiting to buy this stock now at $45 to $50 a share. I think that's going to be the key dip buying level to get back in and ride this back up towards, $90, $100 a share, right? So I'm going to explain to you within this video why I'm personally waiting, why I think we're going to see a nice crash back to 50 for the short term being, and then why I'm planning to buy the dip towards $45 to $50 a share. So let's get right into the price action analysis of DWAC stock. So this stock ran from $10 to $175 in 2 days. We are talking about a 1,750% increase in 2 single days. For cryptocurrency, that's more on the normal side. For the stock market, that is not normal. That is unheard of. That is extremely rare. That is really as best as it gets within the stock market. Unless you're trading options, you can make bigger returns than that. But in terms of stocks, this is as good as it's really going to get. Now, with that being said, the volume was at nearly 500 million yesterday. In terms of today the volume is much lower. It's at 118 million. With the stock price being substantially higher than it was yesterday, and since this ran 1700% in 2 days, people are going to start locking in profits. They're going to start selling their shares, and they're going to start moving on to the next play. Now, is this going to be one of those plays where once it crashes, is it just going to die out? No, I don't see that happening. I do see a crash happening into next week. I think we're going to have the first big red day on Monday, and I'll explain to you the pattern and why that is. And I'll explain to you why I'm planning to dip buy this personally at $45 to $50 a share. But I think this is going to be one of those plays where once it has that massive crash, it rips right back up to $90, $100 a share. I don't see this one going anywhere in terms of once it's at $45 to $50. I don't see this having any really downside potential for the short term being. I think it's going to rip straight back up. So let's get into the key levels, the key price action analysis. So first of all, when do these runs typically end? When do they have their first big red days? When do they start to crash, right? How can you determine if a stock is going to have that massive crash? Well, first of all, we have the extreme volume fade. It's extremely overbought for the short term being. It's up 1700%. It's failed to break out and turn, key levels into support levels, $100 key level, $175 key levels. Now, with that being said, when you see these massive run-ups, once they start having these massive gap ups, like it did today, it gapped up from 45.50 all the way to 175. When you see this, once they form their bearish trend reversal candlesticks on the gap up like this is a bearish trend reversal candlestick. Once you see this, what tends to happen is the next day they have their first big red day, and then they start to retrace back. They start to fill the gap that's waiting to fill below. You got a gap to fill at $45.50. That is what typically happens. When you see that bearish candlestick on the 1 day candle, they tend to retrace back to fill the gap below. Is it going to get there right away? No, it's going to take some time. I think it's going to be around end of next week, could be a little bit longer, but in terms of overall price action, that is where it's going to be heading. Is it going to have some dip buying opportunities for scalpers as it's going back down? Yes, but in terms of people who are interested in buying at the best price levels, looking to hold a little bit longer, not looking to scalp where you just get in and out within seconds or minutes, then I would suggest waiting until $45.50 to $52. Now, with that being said, here's the current patterns, here's the current trends in terms of the intraday chart. So I shared with you the daily chart analysis on why I see that crashing. I shared with you that pattern. That specific pattern that I shared with you is an 80% win rate. Just understand and recognize this pattern. When you see these massive run-ups, these massive gap ups, once they have that massive gap up and that bearish trend reversal confirmation forms, just understand they tend to retrace back and fill that gap below. So let's get into the current price action here on the intraday chart. So this stock got halted multiple times today. Now let's go over the halt situation, right? This is what you need to understand. It's called a gap close reversal. Right here, the stock got halted. And then you could see it opened up lower than the previous candle, right? So there was actually an intraday gap to fill. An intraday gap to fill is a gap that forms due to a trading hold. It's a gap that forms, when a stock gets halted and then it reopens up from its hold, there's a gap that ends up forming, right? So you have a gap right here, take the closing price at 144, and you could see this gap didn't fill yet. There's still $1 of empty space waiting to fill there. So you have another gap right here at $143. And you can see, it's at $121.99, right? The closing price. And look at the high. The high is at exactly $120. And then you could see right here, the high is at $121.99. The stock topped out exactly at this intraday gap. And then it had a reversal. So right there, that's a confirmation that this is bearish. That means it's closing the gap and it's having a reversal. And then see how once it has that reversal, it hits a new low on the day, and see how it's starting to close weak now towards the lower end of this overall channel. It's having a gap close reversal. And now it's having that gap close reversal, what the stock is doing is it's starting to fill the gap that's waiting to fill below. And you can see there's another intraday gap waiting to fill here at $76.66. So if you see this level react as a support level, you can get in for a quick day trade, ride it back up to like $90. So pay attention to that key level of $76.66. But once you see this key level react as a resistance level, this is where the stock is heading, guys. It's heading back to 45 and 50 cents. When you see this level right here, 76, 77, crack, and then react as a resistance level, it's going to be heading to fill this gap that's waiting to fill below at 45.50. If you see it react as a support level, then it's going to start spiking back up towards $90 a share. Now, me personally, if you want to take a quick scalp and try to dip by it, you can try. I'm not interested in doing that, especially on the first big red day when these stocks have their first big red days, which is expected to happen on Monday. I do not dip by them. That would be betting against the overall trend, which means where the stock is heading for the closing price. So I'm going to be waiting towards 45.50. But what you need to understand is, as of now, this is heading back towards, $77. And then once it hits 77, reacts as a support, that's bullish, reacts as a resistance, that's bearish. So just understand, you see this react as resistance, expect it to go back to 45.50. It's not going to happen right away. It's going to take some time, but that's where it's overall headed. Now, here's what you need to understand. Here's that lucrative dip buying opportunity. We saw the gap close reversal right here, react as a great shorting opportunity from 120 all the way down to 67. So where's going to be the opportunity to buy for the gap close reversal for the upside? Right here at $45.50. Set your price alerts. Without these price alerts, you will miss out on the best opportunities within the market. It is going to happen. It's going to take time, but it's going to fill this gap. And then once it fills that gap, when you see it react as the support level, it's starting to bounce. It's starting to turn previous lower highs, previous resistance levels into support levels. The volume is coming in. Buy the dip and then ride this back up, right? So that would be the game plan for DWAC stock. Another thing to understand is, look at this right here. This take the high of this candle, $52, and take the closing price, $45.50. There's a gap to fill at $45.50, and then you got some resistance in the 50s. That is a key level where if this now reacts as a support level, it's going to be a huge upside potential level. We're talking, this went from 45 right there, towards the closing price, 45.50 to 175. So when you see that, what you need to understand is yesterday, forget extended hours for a minute. Yesterday, $52 was reacting as resistance. It went from 52 all the way down to 40. When you see a major resistance level, from 52 to the 45 zone, when you see that, then react as a support level, it's going to explode. And now you have this huge upside potential opportunity where we're talking about dip buying this in the 45s at a key, level that was previous resistance. Then it's going to turn into a support level, huge upside potential. So that's what you need to understand. It has the massive gap up, it fills the gap below, it's back at that key level, and instead of it being a resistance level now, it's going to react as a support level with huge upside potential. And the sky will truly be the limit, Those gaps tend to fill, and you do have to keep in mind there is still a gap that's waiting to fill at $144. Anything is possible. But me personally, like I said, I'm waiting to buy the dip at $45.50. The key dip buying zone is going to be from $45.50 to $52 a share. That's where the key dip buying zone is going to be. So until then, that's where I'm waiting to personally buy it. If you did want a quick scalp opportunity, you could see how it reacts towards this level, but make sure if you were to take that, use a tight stop loss, because I showed you the downside potential. Once that 77 reacts as a resistance level, expect it to go back towards $45 a share. You know, it's just the same pattern occurring over and over again. Remember how we discussed with PROG? Remember I bought this at 3 and went to 355. I locked in profits at 310. And then I told you guys, what did I tell you? I told you guys, wait for the gap to fill at 214 and then buy the dip, because that is that same pattern, that same setup where you have this, you know, major resistance level. You see the major resistance right here. This is the major resistance. Look at this, 220 to 120. When that major resistance turns into a support level, the stock is going to explode. Right here, it turns it into a support level. It exploded. And then what did it do today? It went to 220s, turned it into a support level, and then it exploded. So what do you think is going to happen when you have a much better buying opportunity on a situation like this with DWAC stock, with, you know, Trump's company? When this goes back to 45, major previous resistance level, you know, it's going to explode once it turns it back into a support level, which it should and will, and then it just runs right back up. So don't miss out on that opportunity. That is going to be a phenomenal dip buying opportunity. I gave you guys, I gave it's same strategy, same plan. I gave you guys the opportunity with PROG. You know, I told you I sold for a profit, 310, and then I told you wait for the gap to fill at 214. It partially filled the gap, but still, overall, the trend showed like the reversal opportunity was there for this to explode. So yeah, Prog is currently on track to go back to 395. But guys, with that being said, play it safe, wait to buy the dip, trade the best setups at the best price. I showed you the best setup. It's a gap close reversal, and then ride this back up. That is the play for DWAC stock, guys. Put yourself in the best potential opportunities while you're waiting for that price alert to trigger. Research, find other stocks to, you know, trade with in the meantime. So yeah, that's my analysis on DWAC stock. Let me know what you think.